Welcome to Planetary Gig Talk, Tales of Music and Magic. I'm your host, Jefferson Glassy, Chief Spiritual Dude of the Planetary Gig Society, whose mission is creating unity through music, or as I often like to say, making connections through music with the intention of bringing peace. And today I am here in Studio One at the worldwide headquarters of the Planetary Gig Society in Bethesda, Maryland. And our guest is 6,000 or so miles away on the beautiful island of Hawaii, Kanttara Naba. Thanks so much for taking the time and joining me today. This is great.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So we met at Victor Wooten's Spirit of Music camp, which was pretty profound. Boy, it was profound in so many ways I can't even begin to talk about him. And you were a fabulous singer and really
Thank
enjoyed
you.
being with you. I guess, did you enjoy it up pretty well too?
Oh, it was an amazing experience. That's one of the things that led me to come here to the islands and end up here in Kauai.
Wow, nice. Yeah, you moved there recently, didn't you?
Yes, a few months after. Well, it became very evident at the camp that I need to change my location. And New Jersey's is the times of New Jersey have ended pretty much, and I need to move on. And the question was, where to now?
Yeah. And Hawaii just came into your consciousness, sort of. I mean, it was.
It was kind of in the background, it was there all the time. When I started to put the pieces together, it made a lot of sense that this is where I need to be. I believe that's going to be my last stop for this life anyway.
Well, it's a good place to be. So I also saw you provided me with a little short video, which is really beautiful about your life and sort of what you're doing. And you've been singing all your life. How did you get started with music? Were your parents musical? Did they play around the house, or did you just start singing? When did music tap you on the shoulder and say, "Excuse me"?
Uh, you know what? It was there all my life. I was just born with it. My parents are not musicians. There was always music around us. I come from a culture, my mother's culture. My mother is from Yemen. My dad is from Iraq. The Yemeni people, they're very musical. There's always music, always singing. Music is a very profound part of the culture. So, and the Yemeni people are very known. The one that do sing, they're very known for their beautiful voice. They're just like birds singing. So, so it was pretty much there since I was born. But actual performing, I think the first time took place was in kindergarten, I believe.
Kindergarten. Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
I guess I was discovered by my teachers, and they realized that whenever they need a singer to perform in those holiday, uh, celebrations, they can use me.
Nice. And that was you were born in Israel, is that right?
I was born in Israel, 1969.
And how long did you live there?
I've lived there the majority of my life. In 2001, I was in my early 30s or mid 30s. I came to United States with the intention to immigrate. I knew I had to leave Israel in order for me to fulfill myself, my life purpose, the music, what I was born to do in this life. I knew it had to happen outside of the country, the Israeli country.
But from the time you were in kindergarten and younger until you left, you sang a lot, didn't you? You sang professionally. You sang with groups. What kind of music did you sing?
Yeah, I sang again since I was a little girl, either in schools, choirs. Since I was teenage, I joined a youth band in the township. The town that I grew up, which is Petah Tikva. They had at my time anyway, they had a very advanced, developed a department, if I can say it like this, for youth to be engaged with music. Some of the most popular, talented, either singers, musicians, actor and actresses came out of this. In addition to Tel Aviv, which is the main, it's like New York of Israel, New York City of Israel. Petah Tikva was one as well. So a lot of them came from that town. And I made my way pretty easily to a military band, which was that was something that everybody wanted to do if they wanted to become a professional artist later on in life.
So a lot of different types of music.
Yeah. Mostly I was doing like popular music. Definitely wasn't doing jazz back then. I do remember that somebody suggested when I was a teenage. I recall I just entered middle school. And I remember that they were looking for a singer to represent the school on some local music competition. Every school would submit a song, and they were looking. My school was looking for a singer, and this is how I was discovered in town. I was 13 years old, and that time somebody suggested that I should listen to a Stevie Wonder record came out that was Hotter Than July. So somebody mentioned that, and I went and I got this this record. And I just could not stop listening to Stevie Wonder. So he was definitely my inspiration, as in my teens, and still is.
Yeah, beautiful player, beautiful musician, amazing person.
Same astrological sign too.
So if you were singing, all through your life, can you describe, or what do you think just not drove you, but sort of called you, or was there something about it when you sang you felt a certain way, or what was kind of about it that really intrigued you with singing so that you wanted to sing?
Well, I was a very, very shy young girl. Still is in some ways. I remember myself being so shy that when my mom I recall a particular time that my mom took us, me and my brother, it was just me and my brother back then, to an event, and she introduced us to another adult, and I was so shy, I would hide behind her, I would not talk. But when I was called to sing, I was never shy. I was just, I was just singing. I was never being shy to do that. Later on in life, and that was throughout my life. every time, I was called to sing on stage in front of an audience, it doesn't matter how big the crowd is, it's just, poured out of me.
Just
Actually, I enjoy doing it, like something that is greater than me took over.
something greater than you took over.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I was very shy too, but I didn't quite have that singing. But it is pretty profound. So then you did move to the U.S. and has your musical trajectory sort of changed, or did you start playing in groups or different kinds of music? Did some other kind of music call you?
Yeah, something happened before, the way I ended up here. Um, but just to complete what your previous question, I
Mm-hmm.
was not about maybe about several months ago. I was shared with somebody, which I found was really interesting, that I had a lifetime. I do believe in reincarnation. I do believe that we keep re-expressing our soul. The soul lives forever, the body wears out, but we keep coming back in different expressions.
Mm-hmm.
So she said that there was a lifetime, which was not far from this one, that she said you did not talk, you were only singing, and people knew of you. You were kind of famous, but in a way that people would come to you to ask for healing. And I thought it was really interesting that she said, you did not talk. That made a lot of sense to me, understanding, myself as a child and my ways of communicating. Music has always been a way to communicate my deepest, most honest, purest things that I've ever, I ever felt, and I could not find the words, um, in a regular conversation to be able to express it as honest, as pure, and as I can. I often very felt that I misunderstood, um, and that, and people just don't want to listen to what I have to say, or it's not going to come through the way I want it to come across.
Right.
So music was always singing, singing in particular. And this is another message I recently received. And Victor was one of the recent people to point it out, is using words in a song. So it's not just using words. Apparently, I have an ability to, and I'm still exploring it, to be a poet, but a poet that is also able to sing and put those two together along with the melody. And that was one of the things that I recently got here on the island, that this is a gift that I was given. Um, and this is a gift that can and ought to be used to elevate consciousness.
Well, that certainly makes sense. Music, song, to a tool to elevate consciousness. So, since you've been in the U.S. and now you moved to Hawaii, what is sort of your thought about how to move along with music, and what is music saying or calling to you about? I mean, it's so powerful. It seems to me it's just the most powerful thing. What is it saying to you now? Where are you headed?
Well, what happened is, you asked me before about how I ended up here in the States. I became a professional singer in Israel. Um, And I reached a point in my early 30s that I felt like I cannot move on where I was at in the borders of this country for whatever reason. I mean, I know better now of what that is. And then I knew my sister was living in the States, and it became more and more evident that I have to leave the country in order for my vision to be fulfilled. And back in Israel, I had a vision of about a year before I moved, a vision of myself leading a major musical production that is going to elevate consciousness. Um, and I tried to work on that in Israel. People liked the idea. They liked, some of the music that I shared, but it's like nobody knew what to do with it. And then, I realized that I have to move out. I came to the States. I got married. I gave birth to my 3 beautiful children that I
Nice.
miss.
Yes.
And the music was put to the side for about almost, definitely for about 5 years. Almost 10 years, I was hardly performing anymore. I gave some music lessons. I worked a lot with children because I'm also a music teacher. I did more of the healing. That's another aspect because, I come to the music from the healing. So they were always, for me, one of the same.
That healing and music are one and the same. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, healing and music. Yes, yes.
You do Reiki too, don't you?
I'm a Reiki master. I got initiated in 1999 back in Israel. I did the Avatar material courses, got the wizard degree. So I guess I am a wizard.
Nice.
I learned a lot about, I gathered a lot of experience and knowledge regarding healing and creation. How does this work? I always want to know, I want to know, because I want to recreate things, I want to do that again. So I want to understand, how does this work?
So with all the background that you have and what you've been focused on, how would you describe how music and healing are similar or the same, or how would you?
Yeah, I wanted to. The whole idea of the show was to bring those two together. I knew I'm a singer since I was a very young girl. Everybody said you have a beautiful voice. It was very natural to me. And then I came across, when I was 27, I opened up to my spirituality. I was facing a life decision. If which path do I choose to take? And I chose to take the path that will open up to my spirituality. And this is when I started to come across all those healing modalities. And I knew that my voice has not been given to me just to entertain, but to heal, to heal and restore balance. So this is, when the whole idea of the musical show came about. I came here. I knew that it has to happen outside of the Israeli country. I will go back there with the show already prepared, produced to perform. That's how I see it.
Are you working on the show now, basically? So it's kind of a long process, or
yes.
has it
been... the show is called Queen, The Journey Home, and I realized throughout the years that what I'm writing about is my own journey. And that's the only way I believe we can really share. We can't share something that somebody else experienced. Yeah, you can only share your own experience to inspire others. There is some of you, in others, and people that they're going to be people out there that can relate to that and resonate with what you are sharing, and that's your obligation to share your experience. So I realized that I'm writing it as I take the journey. And I did not know that at the beginning. When I first envisioned the show, I said, okay, I'll do that because I knew I'm a singer and I can lead a performance. Um, and then I said, okay, but who's going to write the music? I was not writing music back then. So I started to talk to other people, musicians that I know, can you collaborate with me on this? And it kind of worked to a certain degree, and then it stopped. And then I realized that I have to write the music. So I started to write the music. And then, I got to a point that, again, I reached a brick wall, and then I knew that, no, in order for that to move on, I have to move out of the country and come to the States. And I came to the States, and I got distracted, and this last year, 2018, certain things happened, and it was really calling me to complete writing the story. And this is when I realized that I am writing my own story, coming back home, which is the ancestral story of myself. There is a nice video that I shared with you.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
That kind of explains in 7 minutes, my whole ancestral story, why the islands of Hawaii is my home, me being born in Israel to parents that are from Yemen and Iraq. I mean, how can you make that connection? But I did feel when I was in Israel that there is a connection, and that's what brought me here. And now I understand why the Moria is my ancestral home, and I'm connecting with this energy, and this energy has been and still is creating that path for me. I mean, I have things happening to me which is really crazy. It's really crazy. That journey has to do a lot with surrendering and allowing that force to guide you. It's literally stepping out of the way and let it move you forward with what you need to do, because that's what you serve.
That makes a lot of sense if you kind of open up to that kind of thing, and seems to me music is a good path, tool, avenue to get there. So you're going along and you're working on this show. Is it come along pretty well? Have you? It's just part of the process that you're going through. Do you need anything from anybody? Can we help out? How are
yeah,
things going?
I need everybody. I see myself. There's so much to say. I realized that, this year, 2018, when it was asking me to complete writing it, it was pretty clear that 2018 would be the year that I would complete writing the story. And here I am, ended up home. And the story is pretty much complete as far as the songs and the storyline.
Nice.
And I knew that 2019 would be the year that I will step into producing it. Now, I envisioned a big musical production with an orchestra and dancers and a visual, and that's how I envisioned it. Hopefully, it will become that, but it can also happen on a small scale. Just few musicians or two musicians just singing. I mean, the story can hold that. It doesn't have to be big in order for the story to be told. And I see myself creating it with the people. This is not just my story. this is the story of humanity, how humanity was seated, or a big part of humanity was seated here on the planet. That's how I see it. So it's not just my story. There are a lot of people that are part of this story, and I definitely see myself as creating it with many, many, many others. So I try to share that vision and that project with people. So, there are going to be people out there that will suggest and will contribute. It's already happening out of their own, free will. I don't have a big budget. I mean, I'm pretty much broke.
Hmm.
But that the forces that are behind me and
Right.
asking me to do that, they are putting everything that I need on my path, and not too much, not too little, just enough for me to be safe and create the next step or the next steps. It's really amazing how this is being created. I also believe that the a reason that is being created this way, and I'm not being given everything from the beginning, is to create that ability of first of all, trust what's behind me and what is motivating me, what it is that it's doing it. It's not me. And being able to be present in the moment and allow what needs to come through in this particular moment to come through, knowing everything that I know already, experiencing everything that I've already experienced before, but the moment is always different. There's always something different. So really develop that ability and adapt, I think, is a key of making that performance, that musical performance, successful, and fulfill its purpose.
Well, I think this is very profound in many ways. You've been, singing your whole life, but have been open to where the music is taking you, and it's being very strong, I suppose, in you. But you're letting it, and it sounds to me like it would be good if more people really could open themselves up to whatever that music inside or whatever it is that's calling them to fulfill their purpose. Um,
Yeah,
it's
that's the message. That's what, if I am able to do that live, um, in front of an audience, that would be the inspiration that can invoke that ability in each one of us. That's why it's called Queen. It's about awakening that queen and kings in each one of us. It's within us. That's the divine aspect of us that is a creator, that has it all here in this moment.
that's for sure. As far as I can tell, I mean, that sounds exactly right. Um, do you have thoughts that you might want to share with other people, maybe musicians or anybody about you find yourself in life and here you are and what are you doing and how do you let that roll? How do you tap into that?
Um, One of the things that I have learned on this journey, and in my experience of healing, and I tell that my students, and I keep being reminded, um, my students and my fans, the sacrifice. Often when we are being asked to sacrifice something, in order for us to move on, to expand, to go to um, um, a higher level of existence, we're being asked to sacrifice something. And the sacrifice is often associated with pain and suffer and something that you're losing. I've learned that sacrifice is not about what you lose, it's about what you gain.
Mm.
And once you remember that and you allow that to take place, what you gain and what you are being rewarded with is 7 times fold, is much greater than what you let go of.
Mm-hmm.
That thing that you let go of is no longer in service for you where you are trying to move into that space. It cannot sustain that thing that you sacrifice. And that thing is going to evolve into something that is greater. Now, when you are still trapped or captured in your old paradigm where you're coming from, it's hard to see. But if you keep developing and mastering that ability to trust and have faith, you know it's there. You know it will change. You know it will transform. I had to, I had to let go of my children. This is something that if you ask me for, and I'm not talking about giving up, these are two different things. But knowing that they are okay and I'm doing what I need to do, and in order for me to be able to uh, demonstrate good parenting and who I truly am. That's the best thing I can give to my children
Mm-hmm.
because they're gonna see that and gonna learn from that when it's their time to make those decisions. I need to let go. There are other people right now that can take care of them. And when you do that and you expand, you see how everything, it's almost like you see a bigger picture and you see how things were set up from the beginning. I chose without even knowing the right partner to give birth to my children for that to take place later
Mm-hmm.
on in life. This is not something that, we can see everything, um, it's like it's a different viewpoint and that keeps changing. Creation has many layers and you cannot see all the layers at one time. So you have to trust. You have to keep reminding yourself that there is something greater than you can always connect to, um, in order for you to be able to move on and expand and keep elevating.
Mm-hmm. And music has been a big part of that for you, and I assume for a lot of people, music and the art, whether it might be painting or poetry or something else, can be that vehicle that can help you, I guess, tap into yourself, you might say.
They say that music and art might bring a new level of awareness you have not find otherwise. That's why musicians, artists, but musicians in particular, I believe, have a very special place in society. Try to take that out. I mean, creation is sound, and we were just talking
Right,
about
right,
that.
right.
Yeah, in the beginning there was sound. That's how the Queen project starts. In the beginning, there was sound.
Mm.
Just sound created the whole thing.
It ties in, and
Yes.
um, I think I think that you're right. I believe that you're right too. That um, music and art can transform the world. As Victor would say, the piece is already there. 99% of your day is, great. Things go well, but there's that little bit, that more that we can do, that we can kind of, many of us or all of us can work together to help that healing music help us all and heal us all. That's what it seems to me.
Yeah, music brings people together. Music will never separate, people.
That's for
Always
sure.
unites.
But
Yeah,
music
always
is,
unites.
that's very true. Um, so Kanttara, I'd like to say, for one, Thanks very much for taking the time to talk today. We didn't get a chance to talk too much at Wooten Woods, but I'm glad we've had this opportunity. I'm glad to know about your Queen project. I think everybody should sort of have a Queen type project, and that you're taking the steps to, you've moved and you're really working on it, I think is very inspiring. We look forward to your production, and if you need help in any way, we got a pretty good community of people. So
Yeah.
let us know. Shout out.
I will. And I just wanted to add, can we add with a song?
Sure, you should do that.
Okay. I just want to tell everyone, you can check my Patreon page, is where I try to do crowdfunding, patreon.com/Kanttara Naba. And if I may, I would like to end this with a song. That's the first song I ever wrote in my life.
Beautiful.
And that's what started the whole thing. And it's called Queen. And I wrote it in English, not in Hebrew. English.
Nice. Kanttara Naba. Yes, please.
Once I used to be a queen, I know I used to be here once. Once I used to be a queen, I know I used to be here once. Standing under the same sky, facing you, guiding you with love. I was the queen of love of the people.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Kanttara Naba.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And we'll look forward to seeing you soon, one way or another. I think it'll happen.
Yes. Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity. And thank you for doing this.
Sure thing. All right. Thank you. You've been listening to Planetary Gig Talk, Tales of Music and Magic. I'm your host, Jefferson Glassy, Chief Spiritual Dude of the Planetary Gig Society. We talk with musicians and others about the power of music and how we can use music to help create a better world. Please check out our website, www.planetarygigs.org, for information about some of the organizations promoting music and musicians, resources about the power of music, books, movies, articles, including new research on music and the brain. We welcome your support. The Planetary Gig Society is a Section 501c3 charitable organization, and you can donate on the website. You also can receive a free email signature block demonstrating your support for Planetary Gig Society. Please follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Planetary Gigs. And we want to thank fabulous musician and teacher Eric Weinberg of Little Eric Studios for the Planetary Gig Talk music titled Chill Kid, It's Saul. So please check out Planetary Gig Talk on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. Subscribe and hear all the upcoming episodes. Thanks very much.